Okay, so what's up?
Oh, sorry, worse than wait, I need to wait wait. Yeah. It's currently summertime.
Yeah, it is, man. Honestly, it's. I'm feeling it too. I'll tell you that for sure.
It's my last day in Leicester before I head out.
Yeah, this guy's actually staying
And
with me because he's homeless right now.
yeah, I'm a homeless bum.
Yeah,
Right, so obviously it's summertime, so the days are long, the nights are short. You got a lot of time on your hands.
mm,
So we've ended up, because I've been living here with Lewis, having quite a lot of conversations. And during this, I had to move out of my house. And he was like, you know what, like, I'll come with, maybe we can catch the football
yeah. I had nothing going on that
afterwards.
day too, honestly.
It was a great day. So, kind of on the way, we were talking, and we ended up just delaying, like, the rest of the plans. We missed the first half of the football
Yeah,
because our conversation was in such a flow state. We sat down in Northern Cobbler, a coffee spot, and just spoke for a long time. Um, and yeah, we touched on a lot of different topics. I think many of which Lewis loves discussing on this channel as well,
mm-hmm.
particularly
Spirituality.
spirituality. Yeah.
So let me just like go over my beliefs, like what I think spirituality is, how I've experienced it. So I'm someone who believes that, we have a soul, that we aren't only connected to our flesh, like we aren't only connected to this physical plane, this physical body. I believe that there's a certain way to experience our soul, and it comes through the subconscious. I believe that the subconscious is a structured system that can be finely tuned for spiritual awakening, that we are built internally in pursuit of our soul's calling. Think of it like a radio, the higher frequency you have, the purer signal you receive. You kind of just have to navigate all these kind of spiritual anchors, anything that is bad for you spiritually. Like, for example, in Islam, there's like halal versus haram. And it's called haram because it's basically, like, haram is basically anything that anchors you spiritually, that isn't, in touch with your soul, that kind of like clouds this like subconscious what I was talking about, like things like alcohol, lust, materialism, ego, especially. It kind of it
Reduces
stops.
your clarity in a
Yeah,
sense.
it
Yeah.
reduces clarity. It
Yeah.
reduces this like subconscious into like a, like, basically just like a random field of awareness. Once you kind of just finally tune the subconscious again, like the whole radio thingy, the pure signal you receive, and then you start getting like your soul essentially speaks louder. You start getting all these spiritual experiences that insinuate that we aren't only connected to our flesh, and that there is actually so much more to just kind of experience as a human being. Like, this is a vessel, basically. It's a vessel of consciousness. Like, we don't live in a universe, but we are the universe experiencing itself.
In spirituality, there's this idea, right, where because like you said earlier, where like all the same like same bit like kind of like original light or entity.
Yeah, can we explain that entire like
Yeah,
metaphor
yeah.
first?
Sorry, you go.
Think of us as just one big source of energy, like just the sun, essentially, and then our human experience is basically a giant window with millions of different like window panes like separating each other, and we're all experiencing the same light but just through different perspectives, different windows. That's what spiritual people believe in, that we're essentially all God dividing his consciousness, just experiencing the universe.
Yeah. And so that going back to kind of what I was saying about how the most kind of one of the most important thing to me is human experience.
Mm.
If you were let alone if you are like kind of like if you choose to believe that kind of spiritual aspect of like you're this essentially a god,
Mm.
but this entity that's experiencing like the universe through all these different kind of like outlooks through these
Yeah.
different eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
um you also just as the individual, um I started getting too hot and like I feel the
Yeah.
sweat on my forehead
And
once
that's
I
very
do.
it's very hot in here.
um So based off that idea, where we're all kind of one, experiencing in like a bunch of different ways that our reality, our universe, and so on.
Yeah.
Um, how best would you go about experiencing those things? So for me, something that I've always kind of said is there's something really beautiful about being able to experience the full range of human emotion.
Yeah.
Um, we were talking a lot about suffering as well and things like that. So there's like obviously experiencing positive emotions, love, joy, happiness, things like that. We all know that that feels nice and it's good and so on. It feels good. It sounds good.
Hmm.
But then sometimes we sort of also forget the beauty in like kind of things like suffering or sadness or like being down. And there's that cliche phrase which is that you never know like how good a sunny day is until you've like kind of been in the rain for a while.
Yeah.
But there's something really beautiful about being able to just experience like the full vibrancy. It's like the rainbow, the visible light spectrum. Imagine if you could only see like certain colors. You're not going to be able to experience like how vibrant and how much out there is in the world
Yeah.
unless you allow yourself to experience like the good and the bad.
That's true.
But then we were talking about like, because yeah, okay, so to have the like kind of reality to be as vibrant and like diverse an experience as you can allow it to be,
Yeah.
you have to have the good and the bad.
Mm.
But we were talking about suffering and is suffering necessary?
Well, the thing is, I think people confuse suffering and conflict. That's what I said, remember? I think suffering is like the extreme worst, like what suffering is what's going on in like Palestine and Congo and Sudan. Like that's what real suffering is. I think people confuse that with conflict, which is just, feeling kind of just bad sometimes, feeling unhappy. So I think conflict is definitely needed to have like a full experience, but suffering is not needed. And it says like a big spiritual belief that like most spiritual people or religious people ascribe to is that that afterlife is basically a reward as to how you led this life. And they always say that there is no suffering in this afterlife. But a lot of spiritual people say, no, there is still conflict though. Apparently there's still politics, there's still this, there's still that. But there just is no suffering. Like that can't exist completely. So it's the idea of just getting away from that completely and just entering these higher planes where, suffering will never be a thing.
And something that's really interesting is that you see some of those people who find that kind of peace with God or kind of like spirituality or
Mm.
things like that, their suffering kind of they give it purpose or kind of direction,
Yeah.
motivation to sort of get through to the other side.
Mm.
I've always found that really admirable myself. And kind of like you've mentioned it because the afterlife, like for example, like I could be suffering, but if I'm good in this life, I'll be rewarded in the next.
Yeah.
I've never really believed in the afterlife though myself.
Mm.
I've always felt like it's kind of like a way to like kind of like say, oh well, yeah, but you get rewarded later.
Yeah.
And honestly, it to me it makes it feel like to live a good or virtuous life, you have like a lot of people are only doing it with this sort of promise that something will come later. So then, like, if I said to someone like, okay, you actually have no need to be good at all. Like, you'll go to heaven irregardless of what you do.
Mm.
Um, or kind of there is no afterlife. How many people would then go, okay, so I don't have to worry about going to hell for all my things I do? Or how many people would say, like, oh, right, so I don't actually feel like doing anything good today because I'm not going to get rewarded for it. What's the point? No one's going to. And so then, to me, one of the biggest things about why I don't believe that is because I actually think that this is more like, I think that there is like a heaven on this earth and it's something that's there that I guess like I don't think I've found it yet myself, but I feel like it's not a literal like place, right? It's a like a spiritual or like kind of like mental plane that you can find.
Yeah, that's what most spiritual people actually believe in. They don't actually believe in like a heaven or a hell, that no afterlife. It's all about
Like
your experience
nirvana
here.
and so on.
Yeah, it's all about just your kind of experience here. Like heaven and hell are states of mind. It's just more like okay, if you can start reading the Bible and the Quran in more of like a metaphorical way, like all the stories as metaphorical, like something like Jacob's ladder. You're basically ascending like the ladder in your mind. Once you're in touch with your higher self, you're gonna basically experience heaven. Like you'll be essentially enlightened.
Yeah.
Like you see like Buddhist practices, you just have to like achieve that state in this world instead of like expecting it to be in this next existence. And I agree with that too, but I've also heard that there are higher planes of existence that are kind of just waiting for you. Like where we go in our dreams is essentially like our astral body, it's our soul's body, and then we go there after death, etc. And eventually you reincarnate back into the world if you couldn't navigate your spiritual kind of you know,
Journey.
journey probably
Yeah.
instead. Yeah.
Yeah, but
But yeah, no, I think like expecting a divine reward, like living like you're expecting a divine reward, isn't a good way to live, in my opinion. I feel like you should just be good because being good is in tune with your soul. It's just being
yeah.
good. It just feels good. It just
Yeah,
helps the
you
people
don't be
around
good
you.
because it's easy, or don't be good because it's like necessarily. It doesn't. It's not even just the right thing to do.
Mm,
Um, just be good, just because that's all you need. Like, just be good.
yeah.
You don't need a rhyme or reason to it, as
Mm,
long as like, and that's kind of like going back to. So what I was kind of the direction I was going for about like kind of why do you need that promise of an afterlife to
mm,
be good? For me, I think the most divine and like kind of highest frequency, if we're going to talk in the spiritual terms,
mm,
thing that you can do is to do an act of kindness and then like not even like wait and see if they say like, for example, if you hold the door for someone and they don't even say thank you, like, is that something that you're going to take personally, or you're going to feel lesser for? Or is it the fact that you've actually just gone and done a good thing and you don't necessarily even like have to wait and listen out for the thanks or gratitude or reward or anything?
mm,
You've won because you did something good without like kind of like any promise of anything.
mm.
um it could be, say someone's in a really difficult position and predicament in their life, and you help them out, and then of course in the moment they might be like, oh yeah, thank you so much for helping me and so on, and then now they're all good, they might forget about you, move on with their life, and then go and
Yeah.
and you might think, well, like, where did you go? I was there for you when you were, da da da. But you've won already. You've achieved that kind of like the highest, the most divine thing, which is to be doing good without any reason, any expectation of reward. You are just good for goodness sake.
Mm,
For goodness sake. There's a famous Egyptian doctor, actually. I think it's Egyptian. But there's a doctor who essentially the payment that he takes for his services is sometimes shelter, sometimes food, but he will never allow any more than that. And that's quite possibly like he's far richer than Elon Musk, that's for starters.
of course, man.
The world's first trillionaire, they should not exist, but
Yeah.
yeah, yet they do. But yeah, so I mean, I'm sure everyone watching would agree with me that that man who's out here looking after the poor and the sick is far richer than he who resides high up in the tower.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Looking down.
without like a concrete spiritual belief, that is just kind of objective, right? Don't you think? Like saying something like that, it's more just it can't really be said like as like a complete universal truth. That's just kind of objective. It's just like okay, yeah, he's richer because he's doing kind things, but realistically, we all turn into dust, don't we? Like we all just seize into nothingness, don't we?
Hmm.
So without like a complete like actual like spiritual belief in like something metaphysical, and that like really be like said without like a really like a real metaphysical belief in something more like a higher power.
Yeah, it can. And do you know why?
Why?
So in my example, say someone who heals the sick,
Hmm.
it reduces suffering in this world. Even like you don't need to believe in anything to think that like to know for yourself when you have suffered yourself, it feels bad and it's awful.
Yeah.
I don't want, and then because we're humans, we've evolved to be social creatures.
Mm.
I then feel like if I've seen you struggling with anything, I would feel terrible too.
Mm.
And so then, without any need for like a spiritual belief, for me to then do good is to reduce suffering as a collective in the world.
Mm.
And if everyone chose that kind of direction as much and when they can,
Yeah.
a drowning man can't save someone else, right? So when you can do those things, then yeah, of course, it's less suffering as a whole. I think that you don't need a spiritual belief. However, I've always been I'm someone who's still discovering my own beliefs as well.
Mm.
But I'm someone that's very much of the idea that like that in itself like will put you in that sort of like higher frequency.
Yeah.
You'll be more in tune with the world around you. You'll notice things that you might not have noticed before. For example, the kind of like I don't know, it could be you walk into the bank and you see the bank teller sort of like kind of, her eyelids are fluttering a little bit, kind of she's closing her eyes. And it could be for a multitude of reasons. It could be, she's been kind of struggling at home. She's not been eating well, her health problems. She's been looking after children. She's not slept well last night. And then to care and kind of like try and do good or look out for one another, it opens up your eyes to all these like kind of different things that people are experiencing.
Yeah.
And that allows you to connect with more people and also then do more good and then connect with more people. And it's just such a positive feedback loop where you just like, irrespective of it, if you want to choose that to be a spiritual belief or if it's just a philosophical, like non-religious belief,
Yeah.
it just does, it betters everyone's experience of this world, other than perhaps like your comic book villains.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you completely. Yes, because that, like, regardless of if I had spiritual beliefs or not, I would just believe, like, doing good does make you richer than doing evil. It's just like a kind of a very just like common belief. But at the same time, I would still just be open to the idea that, okay, objectively, that's just what I think. Another person might not think might have a completely different worldview, and where I think like what separates objectivity is just the idea that no, there are universal laws put in place that no matter how like what your worldview is, that is the correct kind of like that is what we're internally built for, and this is not basically.
Yeah. Interestingly, though, isn't it quite interesting that we've agreed that sort of applies to non-religious, like you'd agree with me on a non-religious or non-spiritual like perspective.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting that you also agree with me on a religious perspective, and that almost kind of seems to encapsulate as like a universal truth. Is that doing good without with expectation or thanks or anything is like that's that's why I was saying earlier. That is by far like the highest
frequency, of course. Yes, exactly.
That's why in Islam, obviously that's something that you kind of spoke about before on this channel, and it's something that kind of like as your friend we've talked about your journey towards like kind of discovering and exploring that.
Yeah.
Was it I forget the name of the pillar, but it's one of the pillars of Islam is charity.
Zakat,
yeah. So it's quite literally charity, doing good unto others, and in many cases when you're doing charity work and things like that, these people aren't in a position where they can really do anything like in return.
Yeah.
So if you feed a homeless person, it's not like they're going to cook you dinner the next day or even potentially in your lifetime.
Yeah.
It's just good for the sake of good. So even like religion supports that same kind of idea, I guess.
But the thing is, like, so I went to some Islamic lessons. I've been going to them like weekly, and one part that I disagree with completely wholeheartedly is that basically if you do a good deed but you don't have like God, you don't think of God like in that moment, and apparently it won't count as your good deeds in the Day of Judgment.
So me and my barber, he's always trying to get me to convert to Islam, and it's really sweet. And so one of the things that we kind of, I guess, had an argument about really was beef with my barber. Anyway, but we talked about, so I said to him, look, so say I did everything by the book in Islam, essentially, except for prayer. So say I was kind of like selfless, I was empathetic, say I was disciplined, say I didn't drink, I didn't eat pork, and so on. And gave to charity. I did everything by the book except for prayer and belief in God, or attributing those kind of good deeds to God and creation. Is that not enough? Like, and he was like, no, like, and he sort of explained it to me as it's kind of like ingratitude to God, and it's saying that you're not actually being like you doing good isn't actually you doing good, it's Allah doing good through you, and that's actually like one of the reasons why he said that, like, so it's actually you're like sort of like discrediting the fact that Allah actually put you in that position to do those deeds, to do that good.
Yeah.
So by not believing in or not attributing or not giving that to him, you're actually like kind of like you're being ungrateful for what position you're in.
That argument is quite interesting because like he's saying like it's Allah doing that through you. That kind of more aligns with the spiritual belief that we are all God, and that we're just kind of like we are like God experiencing him through ourselves, if that makes sense. So this only like the whole like spiritual like religious kind of like viewpoint, it only works for me if it turns out that there is no egotistical God in the sky that will damn people to hell for eternally. I think what religion is, I'll tell you what I personally think religion is. I think I see a bit more as spiritual liberation with man-made rules to try and force society into being more spiritually inclined with the God within all of us. Like to try and like be in touch with the God within ourselves by not drinking, not lusting, being living a very soulful and noble life, etc.
Hmm.
And through that, like an eternal, if not, there's an eternal hellfire waiting for you. Like an all powerful deity will send you to an eternal hellfire. And yeah, but realistically, I think it's all about like understanding that there's a God within ourselves, and we must live that way. And that comes more naturally to the spiritual people. But the thing is, there aren't a lot of spiritual people in the world. Like to be spiritual is actually extremely rare. Like social media makes it seem like it's a very common thing, but to be in touch with your spiritual soul, your higher self, etc., etc., it's very difficult. Which is why religions are made for like man-made, it's a man-made
A structured approach to
yeah.
spirituality.
a man-made like blanket statement for all of humanity to follow.
Yeah.
And also you have to like understand like the time the time in which religions were like put into the world. It was a very chaotic time. Women were just not respected whatsoever. They were treated horribly. There was so much war and difference, etc., etc. And like religion, I think just puts like humanity on like a blanket statement, all on the same page. That okay, this is what's good for you spiritually, and this is what's bad for you spiritually. So follow it. And like something like praying 5 times a day, like at certain times each day, like to be in touch with our God like the most, it also involves working together as a collective. Like spiritual people talk about collectivity
You
all
have
the
to
time.
guide one another.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And like also your subconscious gets a lot more like aligned with collectivity once you have higher consciousness, etc. Again, it's like a radio, like the pure signal, like the pure frequency, the higher frequency, the pure signal you receive. It becomes a lot more of like a structured system. Like I've talked about it through like I guess dreams of the future, shared dreaming, like just being able to kind of interpret someone's thoughts about you with this whole interpreting consciousness thing, which I see that little smile. I see that little smile. Don't worry, we're gonna have a little debate over that whole situation. We're gonna have a little debate. We're gonna have a little debate later. So don't you worry, Benefin. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Your subconscious it gets a lot more aligned with collectivity once you live that way. And even though a lot of religious people can't be aligned with that, shut the fuck up.
Sorry. Even though a lot of religious people can't be aligned with that.
Yeah, like you're still working together as a collective. Like the praying 5 times a day, you're essentially like riding each other's spiritual wave. Like everyone who's praying has their intentions set to the Most High, Allah. A lot of spiritual people like kind of determine God as more of like a frequency, the highest frequency possible.
So if
So
you're
all
tapped
the
into Allah, you're tapped into
yeah,
that frequency.
so all these Muslims around the world tapped into the highest frequency, reciting the same like things over again, like the Islamic prayer, however in their room.
Hadiths and stuff.
Yeah, like billions doing it at the exact same time.
Billions.
That's a huge spiritual wave, honestly. Which is why I think Islam is the biggest.
Beautiful, man.
Honestly, it's like the most like it's the biggest spiritual liberation like in the entire world, which is why I ascribe to it. But there's still a lot more like I don't understand. Like with religions, there's exoteric knowledge, which is just the base knowledge, just the very yeah, this is what it is. Hell, this, that. And once you get a lot more spiritual and you really apply it to yourself the most you can, that's when you get like the esoteric knowledge. Like it just comes naturally to you. With spiritual people, we're all talking about this thing called the higher self. That's like the most consistent thing. We can hear it through like meditation, sleep paralysis. And you know how I said that like we're basically like the light through the window pane, like that's our human experience. Think of the
Yeah.
higher self as the window pane, like just the part of you that's kind of guiding you, that's kind of guiding this light back towards its original source. Like the intermediate layer between the not
So
intermediate,
it's like the light, the
So-
window pane,
the sun, the window pane,
and then like experience.
the shard and the shard of light, not the shard of light, like the
The
beam
ray
of
of
light,
light,
the ray
yeah.
of light is basically the human experience. That's me,
Mm.
you, and then the window pane is the higher self, like like the medium in which this is being like kind of like
the interface, yeah.
yeah,
the
exactly, the
operating
operating,
system.
basically,
Yeah.
So we have
Yeah,
to
I
all
get
base
that.
yeah, essentially, and that's essentially the God within ourselves, basically,
Yeah.
or part of it, like what's connected to it, if that makes sense.
So then, would you say so? One of the things that Lucy talks about on this channel as well before,
Mhm.
and something that we actually quite heavily disagree on as well, is
Mhm.
the concept of shared dreaming. But in that metaphor, would you say that that's like the light sort of crossing paths in a way?
Yeah,
Except just in when you're in that higher plane in your kind of like dream state, that REM sleep,
yeah,
you're able to sort of like almost like trace back the light to of like two people or more back to its source and experience the same route, if that makes sense. Or are you
No,
would
it's-
you say that it's more like
Just-
like okay wait no, let me go right. So is it more to you? So this is the original light, right? This is the window pane.
yeah,
is it more that you guys are both going back towards the source, or is it more that, like, say the light's already passed through the window pane and now they're converging, and you're experiencing the convergence of the, the two experiences?
Also, I say like dream is a higher plane of existence. It's like kind of temporarily, we're kind of temporarily like behind the window pane again, like where the sun is, because the physical world is like inside the window, and the like metaphysical world is outside the window basically. So I guess it's just like you temporarily just experiencing outside the window while kind of in touch with like, while still in
So
touch
it's
with
like
the
being
window
able to
pane.
just like kind of pierce the veil.
I guess yeah,
a
basically
sense.
yeah. So I
Okay.
see it.
Yeah. So yeah. Tell them about the story. Tell them about the story.
Okay, so we'll start with we won't start with the shared dreaming yet. Okay, we'll start with my Gabe knocking on my door. This is my favorite one because of how specific and just like undeniable it was in my opinion, and it just kind of further feeds the idea that the subconscious is very metaphysical, and
Yeah.
okay, so let's begin. All right, so
Yeah.
I'm sleeping. I'm dreaming of Gabe, my friend Gabe. He's featured on the channel a couple times. He's knocking on my door. He's saying, Lewis, I really need to speak to you. You're going through something I've gone through recently. Something about like someone close to him has passed away. He needs my guidance because I'm someone who's experienced something very similar to this recently. And then I wake up. I'm like, okay. 2 minutes later, guess he's knocking on my door saying the exact same thing. And then he comes into my room and he tells me like the full story that his grandfather has passed away. And then like after we're done talking and then after I'm done like just being there for him, I ask him, Gabe, did you knock on my door saying anything like before you knocked on my door just now? And he said, no, it's the first time I knocked on your door. And in my opinion, I was able to interpret his like consciousness before he even expressed it in the physical world. Something that happens when your subconscious is aligned with collectivity, it's aligned with higher states of being. It becomes a lot more metaphysical, like between time and everything.
Yeah.
And
However, were you already aware of the fact that his grandfather was unwell?
not really. I think he must have mentioned it a couple of times, but it's just like yeah, I mean yeah, that's what
So
grandfathers
the
happen.
information had sort
It
of
was
been
in my
present.
mind, but you
Right.
understand that's still way too specific, and
It's
it isn't
very
something.
specific.
It wouldn't be something that would go through my mind casually, just even that morning too.
Yeah.
I feel like my subconscious. I know what I dream about often, and it's not. It wouldn't be something like that I barely even thought of.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Okay. But you'd agree with me that sometimes your dreams can be crazy, right?
yeah. Well, my dreams are quite specific and like intended, but yeah, sometimes it can be very random.
Is
Yeah.
in like, yeah, I have those more specific dreams that are more like kind of, I suppose, like if it was like a screenplay, it was more intentional.
Yeah,
But then you'll also get like a dream that's sort of like, oh, what the hell's going on here? This is a bit random, a bit strange.
yeah,
And so many of those, even those more intentional dreams, those more grounded or realistic dreams, I think like most of them don't really come true.
depends.
And then
well,
sometimes there'll be something that I have, and I'm like, wait, like this feels. I'm getting really big deja vu right now.
that's a glimpse into the metaphysical subconscious, my friend.
Or, so my argument here is,
Mhm.
whether or not we're paying attention all the time to it, we have a lot of information that our brain is a supercomputer.
I agree.
Like, we always consistently both over and underestimate the capabilities of our minds. And we will, like, for example, we can store like a century's worth, like a lifetime's worth of information and memories and things like that, and experiences and niche kind of like smells, aromas, tastes, like visual like views and sounds, and and some of them are obviously strongly tied to your essence. For example, I don't know, the sound of your baby's cry, or your mother's voice, or the taste of, like your dad's like kind of like cooking, or it could be, things like that. There's certain experiences and things that are more kind of core, like to your brain and your
Yeah.
understanding of the world.
Mhm.
You can dream a million different things, and it's when that thing happens in your dream and then something similar happens in real life, you're going to draw that pattern.
Yeah, no
And
doubt.
you will like kind of have learned all this kind of things, information, being your close friend and housemate.
Hmm.
You might have gleaned all these different information, seen how he is as like in general, and maybe even like not actually realize that you were paying more attention than you were. because you might not have been consciously paying attention, but your subconscious might have been.
Yeah.
And then your subconscious is now speaking to you in your dream and saying, oh, actually, like, did you notice actually that when Gabe was talking about this a few weeks ago, whilst you were actually mostly just scrolling on your phone or watching YouTube on the TV in the living room or something like that, that actually this was something that was going to be more relevant. Your brain could be like warning you, like a weather forecast.
I mean, maybe I begin to agree with this if I didn't have like a bunch of other spiritual experiences that insinuate that okay, there is something metaphysical going on, at least in my opinion. So I mean, I've spoken before about the whole shared dreaming shtick. I've spoken about it too much to be honest. Did definitely make me do some interesting things, which we're not gonna talk about that now in it. But
Okay.
but also I've had sleep paralysis. Have you had that before? So a lot of people have sleep paralysis and recall seeing this thing called a sleep paralysis demon. Have you
Yeah,
heard of
and they
that?
all see the same thing. It's like
Yeah,
the
it's,
silhouette on the end of the bed,
yeah.
the man in the hat, or like things like that. Like it's a really strange.
Yeah, let's talk about the
phenomenon.
silhouette. So, in my opinion, that essentially is actually a real thing, but it's latched onto your consciousness, essentially. Like, so in my opinion, like, say you have, so I spoke about the radio thing earlier, like you have a pure frequency, etc. Say if you then go ahead and do something like, like just like watch porn or like drink alcohol, something that's seen as spiritually impure, okay, something seen as spiritually haram,
Yeah.
then like for me, for example, that would show up directly in my dream because like I always have like bad dreams when I do something spiritually impure, and when I'm in like a good spiritual, like just like like when I'm just able to maintain my spiritual excellency for a while, that's when my dreams go back to like
I like
meaningful,
that spiritual excellence.
yeah, I, that's when they like go back to more like meaningful, like greater dreams, more symbolic, more like just intertwined with collectivity, etc. That's when these spiritual experiences come back. So I'm saying when the sleep paralysis thing happens, I can always see, like it always depends on how I've been on the spiritual level. Like I'll say like when I'm sinning and doing things that I seem to spiritually impure, that's when these like that's when like the dark figure comes back to me, like the little like entity. It always comes back during these sleep paralysis moments. And like one time I saw it, and I had like a vision, like a dream, like a very bad dream where I'm just getting stabbed over and over and over again. And other times I've heard it say stuff like you're going to like they're going to get you, you're going to die over and over again. And like you know me, like I'm quite a sane person.
No, this
I don't
is
hear
quite
voices.
as in like I'm obviously like
Yeah.
in the medical field of my studies,
Yeah.
and also like this is like I used to have a really big interest. I was doing like helping with a research paper on like REM sleep, which is essentially dream state sleep,
Yeah.
and REM disorders, which sleep paralysis is a rapid eye movement sleep disorder.
Mm.
And so, as crazy as this sounds, this is like a very common experience. Just to like, I want to
Yeah.
put that out there.
Yeah, thank you. And the thing is, you can't really measure that by like saying you're hearing voices immediately. That's just gonna get written off as like, yeah, this guy's crazy. But like, I know for myself that I'm not a crazy person.
I don't think he's a crazy person, and I also that is seriously like an experience that many people will share.
Yeah, so it's like I feel like there is something definitely metaphysical over like you can't like measure like sins by science, obviously not. But I think that it definitely does have a metaphysical like effect on me, and I've experienced it like just so many times. Like it's just too consistent with the way I live during the day and my sleep that I know okay, this isn't just like a random coincidence that just keeps happening and happening and happening. And like with me, I was always an atheist or agnostic my entire life, and like the only reason why I'm spiritual or like even ascribe to these like maybe other religious beliefs is because I experienced it. Like I don't believe in blind faith. I believe in experiencing it for yourself and understanding it, and then like through like my just looking into spirituality and just like correlating it back to what was going on with me, I realized okay, yeah, this makes sense. Ego diminishment, like just anchoring, like being able to maintain your peace, stepping away from anything that anchored you spiritually, like what I said, like drinking, porn, etc., etc.
Mhm.
I was able to understand that okay,
Lust and like but essentially
Yeah.
any like vices.
yeah, any vices are kind of basically like you have to experience it to believe it yourself. But with me and all these other like experiences that have happened to me, I'm starting to feel like okay, this definitely isn't like as it's definitely getting a lot more concrete that there is something more to the subconscious once you're more spiritually inclined. It's a very metaphysical, just what's the word?
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, but you see, so yes, but I also think we're all quite unreliable narrators,
Yeah,
including
definitely. Yeah, like if some other guy was saying this to me and I had no spiritual like understanding, I'd be like, yeah, okay, buddy.
And that's
alright.
not to say
Nice
that.
one.
That's
Yeah.
not to say that I necessarily have no spiritual understanding. I don't think I've necessarily, kind of like tried to incorporate it as heavily into my life as I'd say that you have along your journey.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe it's something that I'm missing out. But I do think I have the understanding, at least, or at least some understanding, more than maybe like someone who hasn't like even just maybe opened the door to it at all.
Hmm.
And I guess I would still say though, yes, we aren't the most reliable narrators. Sometimes we will. There's two types of normal hallucinations as we're going to sleep and as we're waking up. Those are the two times where it's not actually like seen as like a worrying sign.
Yeah.
Sometimes like there's been moments where like I remember in first year, and albeit it turns out I was quite unwell and I just didn't realize it yet.
Mhm.
But I went to sleep, and as I was waking up, like I was supposed to go to a party, and I was waking up. I thought that there was like a bunch of people in my room
Mm.
because I heard like music. It turns out it was coming from outside, but I thought that was like so. I was facing the wall in my room, so I was just like, guys, can you turn it down a bit? And then went back to sleep. And when I woke up, my room was still like pristine. There was like not a thing had even been disturbed, and I was
Yeah.
like, wow, like if I wasn't like then like burning up with a fever and kind of really unwell,
Mm.
say that I just experienced that sort of like like in a sort of dreamy sense, and then woke up and saw like nothing was there, I would really have thought have like maybe they've come in, had a party, and then tidied up after themselves exactly
Yeah.
as I left it.
Mm.
So then, yeah, I guess like that's to say there's definitely moments in my life like I really woke up and was surprised that my room was tidy. I was expecting a mess,
Mm.
like you know cups and drinks everywhere and things like that. So, or it could be like you know when you're a kid and someone tells you like, oh yeah, like when you wave your hand, the Eiffel Tower is gonna sparkle. I saw a video of that on Instagram recently,
Oh.
and obviously when you're a kid you're gonna believe that, but then you realize, oh, like the adult was doing that on the hour.
Yeah.
And it's obviously sparkles every hour. So
Well, with
Like-
me, I feel like what like
yeah. Do you
as-
see what I mean?
I
Though?
know what
By,
you're
like,
saying,
Our
yeah.
experiences are how we choose to record them.
But then, like with me, what has a lot like a layer of legitimacy towards it is how concrete it is with like, and how similar it is with other like spiritual people. They're all like there are consistent spiritual experiences. It's like the higher self, hearing the higher self talking to you. Like it's not just your subconscious. It's basically got like this kind of like spiritual essence towards it. Like it just like when you hear it, you hear it. You know what it is. Like you just understand that it's very important. It kind of just like whenever I hear it, I feel like I'm like in like a state where I can't look out of it, like the Abdal state or something. And you can't exactly switch it off straight away. It's just like you hear it and you're just kind of stuck towards it. And so the higher self, hearing the higher self, just understanding what it's saying to you, astral projection, like what I just said, and then like dreams, like just very symbolic dreams of like like lucid dreaming, like understanding that you're in a higher plane, being in touch with your astral body, being able to experience it and understand it, and just kind of like just meditate in it,
There's a really weird film that I saw on Instagram not too long ago, and it was about astral projection. I can't remember what it's called though, but it's where these people essentially use astral projection in a really kind of irresponsible way.
How?
So a guy becomes kind of obsessed with someone else, and then basically astral projects into the tricks the partner into astral projecting into one another's bodies.
Oh really?
I was
give me
talking
ideas.
I was talking to one of my friends the other day. She was actually telling me about a time where she felt like she like had a moment with her friend where they both were looking at each like themselves through each like the other person's eyes,
Yeah.
and like she was kind of like saying like maybe that itself was also like astral projection. It's not.
It's more like
It's
a
not
collective
something like
consciousness thingy.
it's a very big thing in like some like old, kind of older religions particularly,
Yeah.
as well as pop culture. There's a surprisingly large like I keep like it's a phrase I can't avoid. So when you're telling me about these things, like because I've like kind of heard and seen it before, I'm not really whether or not I believe in it. That's not really doesn't really matter. It doesn't mean
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
It does not mean shit. But yeah, you're not. I don't think you're alone in your experiences, and I think
Yeah.
that's quite nice, right?
Yeah, but it's like at the same time, it's like they're all preaching the same way of living too, like ego diminishment, just understanding that you're just something that exists. You're not constrained to your social conditioning. You're basically like you're not constrained to these egoistic impulses or these biological impulses. Like, and also, may I just say that being spiritual is also a privilege. A lot of people can't help but not be spiritual. They're like through disability, through traumas, through just like personal circumstance, through like poverty, and they're unable to be in touch with their soul, which is why I personally think it's that much more important that if you are born in like a very privileged place in society, and like you don't really have a lot of excuses realistically, you have to kind of live up to what they couldn't in this world. So yeah, but yeah, like it all comes from like a certain way of living, which in my opinion promotes the most healthiest and sane living. And when you understand like all these ancient like spiritual philosophies and teach like religions, etc., like Buddhism, Hinduism, like all these Eastern philosophies, Hermeticism, they're all teaching the same thing basically, like what you must overcome to be in touch with your soul. And I think it's just a lot to like really write off all these ancient beliefs as nothing more than just like people trying to cope with their existence.
Even if you like, even if we're talking about like kind of spirituality aside, if you're just talking about being religious versus non-religious, I mean that's one of my biggest, obviously that's one of my biggest challenges myself, right?
Yeah.
But whether or not you believe in God or not, it like religion and like kind of like all these scriptures is the result of like hundreds and thousands of years of like human experience collated into one sort of like teaching.
Yeah.
And it's someone who said that this is the best way of life, and obviously like it's more adapted to each culture and climate that where each religion comes from. But
okay, cool. Hello. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I'm saying like I feel like with when you say religion, I feel like it is quite easy to dismiss a lot of these like old religious texts as nothing more than okay, trying to like establish order like during this time period. Like you see a lot of like like Bible, specifically just like Old Testament statements where it's like I think it was one where it's like if a man rapes a woman, he then owes that family like 10 shillings, and then he must marry that woman after raping her. And then it's just like, okay, that's the most stupidest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, obviously, there are some people that genuinely believe that this is the word of God, etc. And it's like, no, obviously, you have to have like common sense here and just understand that this isn't, there are certain man-made things in religion, and there are certain like, in my opinion, soulful, like infinite things in religion, and it's more about just deciphering what
it's
actually trying to teach.
And what's universal truth.
Yeah, and which is why in religion, that's why I always say, if you want to get into spirituality, look away from the Abrahamic religions first, and look into like just the old like philosophies, like the spiritual practices, like the Eastern philosophies, like again Buddhism, Hinduism, everything, all of that.
By the way, Buddhism is basically Hinduism reskinned, but like without certain aspects.
Yeah,
it's really interesting if you look into. Actually, another thing I highly encourage anyone to do about any religion is to look up like kind of the history of how that religion came to be. Hinduism is really weird. It's like actually Hinduism as a title is such a strange title. It's so many different kind of like local like practices and beliefs and kind of like superstitions that then kind of like became more regional, and then so on, and then like people like kind of value different values and different gods in different areas.
Yeah.
And then over like genuinely thousands of years, right? It's the like I believe it's the oldest like of like the religions that are still kind of like majorly practiced today.
Something like that.
And yeah, it's really quite interesting to see. But one thing that you don't help noticing is when you can just see the anthropology in all religion. You can see like kind of like why it's kind of like the human touch, whether it's quite literally in Islam, Judaism, Christianity, so the Abrahamic three. It comes from human word. It's like whether it's like the testaments being kind of told to like to be struck into stone by a human, or whether it's kind of like God's son being sent down to speak and send the message that like God is here and he's here to save you.
Yeah, it's a lot of human interpretation.
Or whether it's the prophets, and whether I mean beyond that. So if you were to take the word of God like as kind of like verbatim in each religion, you would still see like that touch of like humanity. My favorite example of this though is actually like in Hinduism and in also like Greco-Roman religion and beliefs. You see like the gods aren't actually perfect in those religions.
No.
They're like, I don't know, in Hinduism they go to war with one another. In Greco-Roman religion they go to war with one another. They'll sin, they'll lust, they'll chase after beauty, they'll like kind of like get confused on the path, but then ultimately they find their kind of like true purpose and calling and so on, and they and that's kind of why we still look up to them to this day.
Yeah.
And and to me that they sort of just represent these different aspects of the human self. So yeah. Anyway, long-winded way of saying whether or not you believe in religion, pay attention, look up the history, try and at least discover a little bit about it because you'll probably learn something.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree, 1000%. Let's have that conversation the other day when we were walking through the park and we were talking about the idea of eternal life and just if this is our life and that's it, does that give our life more meaning, or like does the idea that like life continues after death and like we're always going to exist, does that like take away from the life that we're supposed to live here?
So yeah, I think that there's a in Hinduism as well. Actually, there's the belief of kind of reincarnation.
Yeah.
It's the cycle of like kind of like the spiritual cycle. We go from like if you're living a higher frequency, you're kind of going to a higher frequency like entity. If it's a lower frequency, you might go into a lower frequency entity and so on.
Mm.
So that's like kind of like the souls aren't necessarily from one human to another essentially.
Yeah.
And I was raised Hindu and like
In like my culture, I'm Sri Lankan Tamil, so we are like kind of a Hindu culture as well. So I've always like kind of grown up hearing about like our reincarnation or things like this. To me though, I'm very much someone who's like very into my science, and I think it genuinely is just, I think it's when it's done, nothingness.
Mm.
And the human brain hates the idea, the concept of nothing. Because if you close your eyes, that's not nothing. That's like there's this name for it. It's just something grey, but it's like that blackness is not nothing. Black is something.
Yeah.
And so like, if I was to say to you like describe a color to someone who's never seen like who's someone who's always been blind, all the words you like in the world, but nothing will ever make them truly experience that thing.
Mm.
Not in the exact way that you would.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
So say for example, say your parents met and they made you, okay? Was your existence solely dependent on those variables meeting like over billions and billions and billions of years perfectly to create you, or is consciousness measured by something else, something more metaphysical? Like, would you have still been born but just in a different like body, or like is your existence only bound to this like one in like a trillion chance, basically one in like how many like chances happening? Was that the only like variable to bound your existence to like any kind of
Yeah.
consciousness?
I guess it depends on if you think consciousness is something that's found like physically.
Well, with me, obviously not. I think it's kind of metaphysical,
But
but
then like for me, I think it's plausible. Maybe not, but it's plausible that there's a part of your brain or something kind of like physiological that could explain away whether it's like the specific like kind of waves of activity of electrical activity that go through your neurons in your brain, or whether it's an actual physical like I don't know, like sometimes people say like the pineal gland or
oh,
you
the
know
pineal gland.
Yeah.
I still have much to
Yeah.
like learn about the pineal gland, but
yeah, it's an interesting thing. But,
yeah.
yeah, so I guess like it depends. If you think that it's something that's like not physical, then I would say then like say it wasn't physical, the consciousness and the soul, then yeah, I think I'd be more inclined to believe that it comes from somewhere, and then kind of then the body is just
The vessel.
the vessel,
Yeah.
and then the soul is what comes in, and it could be really any soul.
Yeah.
I do think that there's something a bit more than that. Maybe it's a partial. Maybe there's an in between answer as well. Maybe there's like a partial kind of energy that comes from like the universe, and there's something that's provided kind of like physically as well from the body, and then it's the unison
intertwined,
between
yeah.
the two that allows them to be one.
Yeah, but like there is
Yeah.
still something metaphysical that you can't like. Like there can't be like an in between. There is still something like
As in like
undoubtedly
yeah,
metaphysical
as in,
about
I mean,
consciousness.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as in yeah, that's somewhere that still comes under the metaphysical realm
Yeah.
versus like a completely scientific approach. Yeah,
Mm.
you're
Yeah.
right.
So I mean, I've asked a
Yeah.
lot of atheists that question, and they always say, "No, I think I would have probably still been born," which is kind of interesting. So I'm like, okay, so you're not an atheist
No, because then you're not. Yeah, you have
exactly.
that level of spiritual.
Yeah, you have kind of like
belief,
a like at least kind of understanding that consciousness isn't separate from like consciousness is just yeah. Like consciousness isn't bound to the physical
Yeah.
realm, in my opinion. That there
Yeah.
is something more, like a higher power of some sort, that
Or-
binds consciousness.
Or like, because then I think, and also there's a lot of superstitions that people who don't believe in anything, myself included, will follow, and it's kind of like, okay, well, if it was like, what is the root cause of that superstition? Why do you believe that? And yeah, this is one that I find really funny though, like when you told me about this, how people respond to that question, because to me, I mean, personally, I must say I heavily lean towards the scientific argument, which is where the sperm and the egg come together, creates a unique thing. There's some genes that cross over, the perfect randomization between your mother and your father's genes, as well as just natural genetic variants, and that creates the unique you.
Yeah.
And then somehow physically in the brain there's a spark, but a literal spark, not like a metaphorical one, that allows you to then be conscious. Anyway, kind of going back to the other conversation that we'd had.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me do that again, because I did way too... What was this, bro? Right, so kind of going back to that other conversation that we had about... So, what's more meaningful, like, kind of like, if life carries on, or there's a reward after, or whatever, there's something after, or if it's just, that's it, there's nothingness. I said to myself, I think that if it's nothing after, then that makes it so much more beautiful, so much more meaningful. It's kind of like you have to really take a moment to treasure and experience, stop and smell the flowers in the time that you have, versus kind of this sort of, I guess, feeling that you'll be able to smell the flowers later, so why do you need to smell them now? But you felt differently, I think, at the time.
So like the main kind of like view with spiritual people is that we're having a human experience. Like the point of like being here is to experience, but also remain like spiritually, like, you know, intact with the God within you.
Yeah.
So to be just like spiritually conscious, but also like just have a human experience, just understand what it means to like feel mortal, to feel like this way, to like experience life how you should, to feel like conflicts, to have this like, you know, to feel sad, to feel a range of emotions. Realistically, that's what being spiritual is all about. And to also feel gratitude, to feel gratitude everywhere you go. That actually helps you be more in line with, like, you know, again, that infinite light, that infinite divine sun, the God within you, essentially. So I say, like, I feel like a lot of atheists look down at religious people where it's like, oh, you can't really cope with your existence, you're just enjoying, you just want to, like, the idea of, like, an infinite world helps you make this, like, existence that much more bearable. But at the same time, whenever, like, an atheist tells me that they can't really imagine, like, an infinite world, like, they feel like death is what kind of just gives, like, this life meaning. I feel like I can also say, isn't that just a coping mechanism? Like, the idea of an infinite existence kind of, like, it scares a lot of people. And with me, I'm kind of just neutral in either way. I'm like, okay, if death is the end, like, that's sure. Okay, that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but that's fine. Sure, I don't really mind. But also, like, even I can't even, like, fathom, like, an infinite existence. Like, what exactly is... How can I actually be, you know? So what I'm thinking is, like, I think that makes a lot more sense, like an infinite existence, as opposed to just like, you know, that's it after death. It's just gone forever.
And then being reborn into another body, another vessel.
Well, the thing is, like, you're basically trying to escape the whole like reborn, recycle, like the whole Matrix thingy, and just like, you know, just immortalize this version of you and just like inherit like the like true reward, the hereafter. That's what we believe.
Yeah, to cease the cycle.
Yeah, exactly, and that's like that's the kind of thing you have here, you know. But that's your duty you have here.
Yeah.
But I would say that, like, I feel like the idea of nothingness is also somewhat of a coping mechanism. A lot of people just want to feel completely nothing. Like, why do you think like people take substances? It's to alleviate them of, like, you know, their inner turmoil. And like, I feel a lot of people just long for nothingness, just to feel completely nothing, just to forget. Like, a lot of people hate themselves. They want to just completely forget this version of themselves forever. And just a lot of people, like, people are so sad nowadays, and I feel like,
true though,
yeah, and I'm like, okay, the idea of nothingness, is that not just your little coping mechanism too? Like, are you sure the only reason why you feel this way is because you just don't like your existence and you'd rather just like, nothing after this. My existence doesn't matter. I've like that actually gives a lot of people more comfort, in my opinion. And for a while, like, kind of gave me comfort when I was a lot younger too. But then I kind of just realized, okay, realistically, this is like one tiny speck of existence amidst the infinite nothingness before and after. That just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And maybe it's because I'm restrained to my human brain and nothingness, I just can't really fathom it. But I also feel like...
That's my...
Yeah, but I also feel like with like the whole spiritual beliefs, like this is about tapping into the core behind your existence and understanding like, yeah, you are connected to the infinite world realistically, and you low-key being attached to it isn't a bad thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know though. I think that, for example, you have a child one day and so on, and you see their first steps, and then shortly after, a few months later,
Mm.
and they're already like, it's talking, and then they're walking, and then they're,
Mm.
and it happens very quickly. You always hear parents say, "Oh, you grew up so quickly." It was slow in the moment, but looking back, it was in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
And I guess it's like our childhoods are very brief in the grand scheme of things. It's only really like less than or maybe around like a quarter of our lives.
Yeah.
And so then why is it that we kind of hold on or like attach so much to it is because of like actually because it's so brief it ends up being so like that also almost amplifies just how meaningful it is. We hold on to this tiny sliver of kind of like joy and pure innocence and
Mm-hmm.
or like for example say you're in a long distance relationship, you might not see your partner all the time, but when you eventually get to fly out and see them, the moment that you kind of like fall into one another's arms when you lock eyes,
Mm.
that joy, like kind of that fills your heart and soul. It's undeniable. It's so like potent and strong. So then it's kind of like, I guess it may be not about the time spent or the amount of time so much as it is about the potency in that moment. And I think that potency only increases when it's a finite moment.
Yeah.
That's why I think that it makes more sense that it's kind of over it done, and it's nothingness before, and there's nothingness afterwards.
I mean, that sounds kind of like picturesque, like, it sounds a bit more artistic in my opinion, yeah, sure, but at the same time, I just don't think that's true. But, I mean, that does make it sound a little bit more beautiful, but that's considering, like, having that kind of, like, picturesque life nowadays is kind of rare.
Is
in
it?
my- I think, like,
I don't
that
think
kind
it
of, like,
is.
yeah.
I don't think it is. I think that people are just like forgetting. Like, yes, it sounds. Yes, okay, for context, I'm an artist. I like writing and doing poetry and things like that. A lot of reading, but yes, obviously, I will yearn after all of these things too.
Mm.
However, it's there. We're just not really paying enough attention and noticing it. Even in like sad moments, it's there. It's right in front of us. It's all around us.
Mm.
Love is rare, but love is everywhere. Like, it's there.
I don't know, I feel like most people are kind of just miserable and stuck in their own ways nowadays to really, like, you actually have a very spiritual view with someone who isn't, or allegedly not spiritual. Like, this is what spiritual people believe in, like, this is
Because
the
I don't
point
think
of
you need to be in a high... You don't need to say, like, you don't need
yeah,
to
no,
believe
I
in
know you
spirituality
don't,
to be,
I know you don't, I know
like,
you don't.
doing the highest, like, kind of frequency things.
Yeah,
like,
but in my opinion, you're a very spiritual person, you just don't know it, you just don't, like, you can't really ascribe to it, but this is, like, the core fundamentals of spiritualism.
So let's talk about... So the natural order, right?
Mm.
Does a deer question its place? Does it say, like, oh, should I be frolicking in these fields? Should I stop off or, like, look after my fawn? Or does it just have these instincts and these kind of, like, intuition that drives it?
Well, that's the thing, like, so I believe the human... Sorry, let me just... finish my option.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Sorry. Yeah, that was just Well, that's the thing. Like, I think that say like you mentioned the deer, right? Like, I think animals are restrained to their more like biological impulses. I don't believe animals have free will. They
See,
run
I think
they
that-
run purely by instincts and
I
like
think
you know.
they're such like
Well,
they're
they have a
such
certain level of
purest
free-
of they're the purest of creatures though.
Yeah, exactly, because they don't have any free will. They can't really like understand like these universal
They
laws.
do.
Whereas
They do.
they can, but not to the
do.
true extent that we can. Basically, like I feel like human
I
beings,
disagree.
we're meant to basically understand these universal laws. We're built internally in the pursuit of ourselves.
I think they
calling.
understand
Like, human
something
bre-
that we don't. I
They
think
can,
they understand
yeah,
something we
something in
don't.
like lower like things that don't really matter.
No, there's
No,
a
some are more
frequency
spiritual.
that
Some
we-
are more spiritual. Cats, for example, they're very spiritual beings. I'll say that.
Yes,
But
they
they're
are.
also like restrained by. They're also kind of restrained because they're not as sentient as us.
Yeah,
I
I think that some animals might be. I think there is some degree of like obviously sentience and
Yeah.
differences. For example, I think fish and reptiles, generally speaking, tend to be on like a lower order than like birds and mammals.
Yeah.
whether it's just the cold-blooded and cold-hearted aspects of them, versus like kind of like the more evolutionary adapted and evolved warm-blooded like creatures.
Yeah.
But yeah, sure, some they might have like that lower kind of sentience,
Yeah.
but they exist in this pure state of sort of like kind
Awareness.
of awareness. And like, why is it that we might be in the forest and you notice when, oh well, you can't hear the birds tweeting, they flew away as the flock, the deer have kind of scurried away into the forest, and then maybe you start smelling smoke like 20 minutes later, and by then if the fire is upon you, they can sense something that we can't.
Yeah, they have more survival instincts, like, if that's what you want to say.
Yeah, okay, survival instincts be it, but I think that there's something, okay, maybe spiritual about them that's really allowing for them. And I think that in all of our great ability to like rationalize, talk, and like, you know, theorize about all these things, we actually kind of also just forget to like follow our natural order of things. Again, going back, throwback to the start of this conversation, I think our natural order is to do the highest spiritual like frequency thing, which is to do good and expect no thanks from it.
Yeah, so you see how I say like you're a spiritual person and you just don't understand that you're a spiritual person?
No, but I don't think you need to be, because that's like
yeah,
the natural order.
I know, yeah, exactly.
I am
but you
following
don't...
the natural order.
Yeah, but you don't
the universe is showing me.
Yeah.
It makes me... Like, the universe is showing me this. I don't need to, like, my brain is telling me this. I don't need to be told this or believe in this higher thing. I'm telling you, like, the same way the deer has the instinct to kind of, like, freeze or, like, kind of dash away into, like, the clearings, like, I have the same instincts, or say, like, the bee to pollinate or gather nectar, make honey, or, so on. I have the same instincts to kind of like why is it that my heart feels so warm when I'm able to do something meaningful for someone when they need it?
Yeah.
Or why is it that like kind of like I feel so sad when I'm helpless for myself or others? My emotions and intuition is guiding me the same way that they are being guided too. So I don't think they're lesser for it. I think we're all like, we need to understand our place in this. One of the biggest sins and shortcomings, one of the reasons why humans are so far from being spiritually enlightened, is because we forget our place in the natural order. Look how we're treating this planet. We're polluting the water, we're polluting the skies, we're polluting our own bloodstream, we're getting microplastics and all sorts of carcinogens. We aren't like playing our part in it. We've forgotten our place. We are part of nature as nature is part of us. The same way that you're telling me about this light that connects all of us, it connects us with the birds and the bees and whatever the birds and bees, but like with all of that too. So yes, I guess that is spiritual, but it's also very scientific. It's understanding that like it's the same food web, it's the same ecosystem, it's the same instincts and life force that's driving all of this. It's life on this small pale blue dot in this big vast empty place.
I couldn't agree more, my friend. Yeah, I could not agree. Yeah, I agree completely.
So yeah.
But,
anyway, sorry, I got very passionate there. Yeah, and I'm also very warm. It's a very warm day.
It's 30 degrees, man.
In case, it's currently in the middle of a heat wave. In case you want there, we're currently in the middle of a heat wave. In case you're wondering why I've been moving all over the place, wiping my head, and blowing the fan in my face.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone's very conscious of that. I've been. But,
yeah, I'm also going to be quite self-conscious about that. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
No, I 2000% agree that there is like kind of a natural order, a natural way, and I feel like as humans, we kind of lost touch with that natural way. With me, I say again that we're internally like built in pursuit of this like divine light within us, right? And like what embodies that is compassion, empathy, no ego, no sense of like acting in alignment with your highest purpose. That's what we call sin. Like that's how spiritual people interpret things like sin. Like just
things
acting
that deviate you from that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like things that pull that frequency down.
Yeah.
From the purity. Yeah.
Exactly. Anything that just detaches you from your highest frequency and highest purpose. And yeah. I feel like spirituality has just gone like way too overcomplicated. Like the way I describe it to you, it sounds quite very like straightforward now, like what it means, because
I don't think spirituality is that complicated. I think spirituality is intuitive, but I guess that's
intuition.
I guess not everyone like pays attention to their own intuitions, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you say like the idea that we're all kind of interconnected,
Mm.
I'm like, hell yeah.
Of course, man.
I can put myself in someone else's shoes as best as I can and try and really live like. And obviously, I'll never be able to truly like experience that experience, but then like it makes sense to me that okay, well, if I was like someone like a single entity that wants to experience like the universe in as many different ways, like as diversely as I could,
Yeah.
I would create billions of people and I'd try and see like what it's like, different permutations of
Mm.
like how life could look, how life would be.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It makes sense that like kind of like there's certain actions and things that will bring you towards being in a more pure like kind of frequency and things that bring you away. It's
Yeah.
intuitive. I think yeah, people kind of convolute and kind of say like, oh, spirituality is this wishy-washy mumbo jumbo like
Mm.
and you hear sometimes like hey, like you hear certain buzzwords like astral projection and like sleep
Yeah,
paralysis and like
honestly,
shared dreams and like and it
that does,
sounds
yeah.
daunting, but I mean that's kind of why these conversations sat down on the channel are quite important, because it's like, well, actually, you start to realize that when you break it down, it's quite
Quite simple, to be honest. Yeah, and I've definitely overcomplicated it. I've definitely used it as like a little gimmick on this channel, because like you know me, I am just gonna make it into like kind of like a fun little thing I can do.
Yeah.
But I
But
also
no,
really
so
do care about
no,
it.
so spirituality is simple.
Mm.
Your experience of it is not.
No,
That's why
okay.
you have a lot to say.
Yeah, I do, but at the
Because
same
you
time,
have everyone has unique spiritual experiences, so that's
Yeah.
what you can talk about. That's what you will share.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. And I've also definitely played into it too much to try and make like you know the group of people you were sitting with the other day. There's a lot more to that story that I don't think I'm going to tell you the full story. I can't lie. But yeah. At the same time,
I'm actually like not entirely sure I remember this.
you remember when we were watching the Champions? You remember the Champions League final, right?
Ça peut faire la Champions League, 7-5 c'est la Champions League, 9-1 c'est la Champions League, 9-2 c'est la Champions League, 9-3 c'est la Champions League.
Okay, cut.
All right. So what's going on? So it's 1-1 right now. Norway versus England.
I thought it was 2-1.
No, that's my predictions for the final thing.
No,
It's-
I thought Kane and Bellingham scored.
Oh yeah, but it was disallowed because it was offside. Remember?
Oh no.
Yeah. So it's 1-1 right now. How we feeling?
I'm feeling pumped. I'm feeling ready. I know Jordan Pickford is gonna come through. That's my go. And
Jordan Pickford, like to save a goal.
yeah, just to like.
He's so funny, honestly. He plays for Everton, which is like he's a world class England goalkeeper, and he plays for fucking Everton, and apparently he's shit for his his football team, but he's sick for England.
Be careful what you say about him around me. You don't want to know what.
Okay, that. So what are you saying? How's life been recently?
Yeah, you got that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it get copyrighted if I?
And no, you singing, yeah, I got that yummy yum isn't gonna fucking get copyrighted. Like,
Okay.
yeah. But no, you asked the same question the other day. Like, remember when we filmed that first video with like Alexa and you, and you're like, what if I do a lot of brand doors? And I rewatch the video sometimes, and I'm like, what the hell was she talking about? Like, what do you mean? Like,
If we swear, can you like add this or no?
no, I can't hear you.
You can.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
What happened? What do you have to say for you not to be able to? What if I do a lot of brand deals?
I was like, no, I just remember saying like, it doesn't matter, like Lena. And then Alexa's like, what the fuck are you talking about? But we just overbrushed
didn't
it.
say that.
That's
She
what
didn't say
that's what
that.
she was about to say,
She
right?
didn't- no, she
That's what she
didn't.
was
No,
about
she
to
didn't.
say.
No, she didn't.
That's what
No,
she
she
was.
didn't.
We're gonna replay the video, okay? Bro, it doesn't matter, Alina, alright? Anyways, so as I arrive, yeah, these two are like mesmerized by my. Yeah, but I think I just like overturned it because I wanted to glaze myself a little bit more. You know what I'm saying?
Get over this guy.
Yeah. Get a load of me. So how's Tomodachi Life? How's that? What's that going?
Tomodachi Life is amazing.
Basically,
I
I
haven't
gave
gone
her-
outside in like 5 days.
I gave her my Nintendo Switch just like to keep because I paid a lot of money for it. But since like she really wanted to play Tomodachi Life and she was FaceTiming me saying, oh, should I get like this version or this version? And I was like, you know what, Lena, I've got like a Switch just in my closet, just taking up dust, not doing anything. So you might as well have it.
Like, it's like a good trial because it's like, will I actually get enough use out of it where it's like, whoa, I actually do need a Switch too? Or is it going to be like, oh, I use it to phase and then I don't need it?
Yeah, but like, what's it saying now? Have you added anything more to the island?
Oh, it's amazing. I've added Gojo, I've added Sailor Moon, I've added like all of the people. Gojo is in love with me right now. It's a bit sticky. Zeon's a bit upset about it, but it's okay, you know, it happens. He just saw me walking by and Gojo like he just fell in love with me.
Oh
like,
wow.
happens all the time. Lewis actually has no friends. He started it off with like having me and Gabe as his best friends, and then we all fell out with him. Oh, sorry.
Basically, like I got too like extremist with my spiritual beliefs, and I thought like realistically, everyone should be living this way. But yeah, no, I got
Clearly
basically
the couple
extreme.
that actually like me, they didn't agree with it. So he's got no friends, and like it's always saying like also cool when you like hop over him. It's always like he's waiting for more people to come, but like nobody comes. Gabe, he's really flourishing on the island. I can't really say the same for you.
Okay.
I tried to make Vin, but all of my memes don't look.
I can
like
make a
him.
Vin. Trust me, I can do it like 1000%. I know what Vin
Really?
look. I'm gonna put this as like, cause you know how me and Vin just made a video, right? This is gonna be like the extra credits, right?
Hi, Vin.
Yeah, yeah. But I think we spoke about a lot of like interesting topics. It was basically about spirituality. He doesn't believe me when I say the subconscious is more than we think it is. It's a metaphysical, it's full of awareness that can be mixed with others, etc., etc. How have your dreams been recently, Alina?
They've actually been really good. They're always really realistic. So it's like when I wake up, I have to remember, like I have to decipher like the difference between reality and not. So it's like, say there's somebody in my dream, and like they make me feel sad type of way, I have to be like, wait, no, that did actually happen. I have to be okay with it. Recently, I actually asked Vin to look at my blood test. So it's really
Yeah, Vin, like, he actually mentioned this the other day. Like, he likes helping out. He's mentioned with your group, apparently you're always just harassing him about, like, health issues. Like, Vin, is this, no, he loves doing it, don't worry. But, like, apparently, like, you're just like, oh, Vin, is this normal? Is this normal? Is this normal? Is this normal? And it's just like the most basic, just random shit. He's like, yeah, don't worry, you're fine, mate, it's okay.
Well, I remember when Vin was like, oh, Lena, if like the only thing you have is like low iron, then like you're fine. And I was like, whoa. Because you actually do have to count your blessings.
Oh, yeah, you still having the low iron stuff.
Well, actually, I don't think I do. That's why I need Vin to look at my blood thing. Because I asked my friend Thea, and she was like, no, I think you're fine. And I was like, whoa. Like,
The low iron stuff is such like a girly thing. It's so funny, like watching her play out in real life. Like my friend will stand up and then she'll be like, "Whoa,
yeah.
whoa."
Well, I
Like
used
10
to be
sec-
like that, but I'm not like that anymore. So I just think my diet has been helping, like, be getting it all naturally from my spinach, from my red meat, and it's just like, it's been really
Can you
good.
put,
From my
because
sardines.
I can't lie, I've been living off that too good to go shit recently.
So am I.
Yeah, honestly, like she put me on, like, if you go on like Too Good To Go, they just have like these random like like deals where it's like it should be £15 but it's reduced to like £3.99, and then you just go collect it at a certain time.
But
And
it's
you just,
like, it's only the like leftovers, like, so you can't like predict what you're gonna get.
it's still worth it though. But I can't lie, I got fucked over by Cafe Nero the other day because all my shit was just like haram, like ham, bacon, sausage.
Well, I always know that the what's it called cafes. That's a rookie mistake. The cafes are the worst ones to get the Too Good To Go from. So it's like you just get pastries or you just get like sandwiches and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
but if you air fry the pastries, trust me, they bang. I got that the other day. Me and Vin did a food haul. It was good. Trust me, it was really
I can
real
imagine
nice.
because
It
this
was,
guy, he's been really focused on like food and like that recently. Like, that's
Yeah,
why he's
just-
actually so excited about Too Good To Go as well. Like you're like
yeah, but like low key, are we getting food now? Like you mentioned, you were hungry. Is
Well, that's
getting
the thing.
back.
I already got Too Good To Go, like Too Good To Go bags today, and I haven't even finished them. I got Auntie Anne's because I was feeling like I had a sweet tooth.
Mhm.
And then I got Soho something. But it was just like sandwiches, so dead. I was just like, nah.
Nah.
I'm craving vegetables, but like nobody's gonna be saying that.
Okay, I have to get like back on my like eating healthy grind. Like I think after like a couple of weeks when like certain people move out and then they're no longer distracting me from my internal purpose, Shiraz, I'm actually gonna look in because I won't have anything like actually anchoring me down. Like I know Shiraz is bad for me. He's my best friend, but I know he's bad for me realistically because
Okay,
we just
but
enable
what
we just
about-
enable each other. That's it. We just enable each other's degeneracy, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. But like when he's gone, like I'm only gonna see him
What
sparingly.
about the discipline to be able to like, although you have these distractions?
Yeah, but like he's only here
you're
for he's only
able
here
to-
for a certain period of time. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
okay,
Like
I've heard
I'm
that
only
one
gonna have that
before.
you buy posh little prig next to me, like you know, be like, yo, Lewis, are you down for this,
That
etc.,
little old
etc.
chestnut,
Like it's only gonna
I've
happen
heard
for a
that
while. It's his
before.
last weekend ever, and yeah,
Oh,
honestly,
he's gonna die the next weekend.
yeah, I'm gonna kill him myself personally. Because he was rage baiting me yesterday. When we smoked up, right? And then like I was really high, and I was like, guys. Yeah, no, you're right.
You're right.
What? What are you lot talking about?
What?
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 Bro, chill, man. What are you talking about?
What's the camera?
He's getting angry at the word. Say what back? What?
Bro, what? Like,
What?
Wait, Lewis, what? Generally, what?
stop.
Generally, what? What? What?
What?
Lewis?
What?
What? What?
What?
What?
What?
What?
What?
What? What? It's getting a bit much, Lewis. What?
That's wrong though.
Alright, bro, just allow it right now, okay? Anyways, what I was saying, right? So like, I feel like there are certain friends that enable me even further. Even you, like, like sometimes I'm just like, oh yeah, it's just Alina. Like, I see you as like a very just like, like funny
Where are
person
you
in my
reaching
mind.
to? Reaching into
You're
the
just a very
void?
funny person in my mind, right? It's just like, oh yeah, Alina. Like, low key, she's
That's got nothing to do with me. I have not enabled him to do anything.
No, but
In
it's
fact, what's called? He used to be able to excuse, and that's actually what he's using Shiraz as, because basically.
Shiraz directly says, Lewis, do you want to do this? And I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah,
you say
low
yes.
key, I do
You
want to do
say
that
yes.
right now. Yeah.
You say yes. Shiraz hasn't forced you to do anything.
But that's what you know, not what you know of, yeah. Wait, has the halftime thing started now? All right, guys, it's been fun, but we gotta get back to football now. Bye.
Bye.
Lewis, are you ever gonna...
All right, so why isn't everyone spiritual? That's the main topic of conversation today with my boyfriend. Yeah. Anyways,
Don't get abusive.
yeah. So like, I don't get.
Touch past that, yeah.
Yeah.
Just white
You
noise.
man's relationship is a relationship, bro.
Yeah.
It's just like how you and Salima, but you haven't felt secure enough to show it in
it's
front of
making
the
it
rest of
gay,
the
bro. Relationships don't need to be gay.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say, I don't get like, okay, say for example someone's been watching my videos just like for a long time now, like have I not kind of just like explained it like what you have to do to be more spiritual or more aligned? Like surely it's like, I don't think it's that hard personally. Like I'm not doing it as much as I should either because I'm just so lazy and degenerate. It's just, but like at the same time, I know how to. It's just like information that I'm waiting to not realize until I actually like feel pressure to. But then I wonder if like me feeling pressured to do exactly that is gonna make it even worse, and then I'm just gonna completely, look who's back, man.
Oh my god, do you know what we need to actually go on?
What?
Yeah, read my mind.
Oh my day, bro. I was like, all right, bro. As long as
That's gonna be so much funnier. What do you mean?
okay.
You did it on Cat, so now.
Okay.
Oh.
What?
Do you want a glass of cream?
No, thank you. No, thank
Can you
you.
have a small bite just because of the effort of me offering?
I don't want
Bro,
the.
you
I don't
love
want
me,
the. I don't want the custard
Okay,
cream
feed
churros.
feed it to me.
I don't want the custard cream
Feed
churros.
it to me. He treats me like a king.
Queen. You're definitely the girl.
You're definitely the
You're
girl,
definitely the girl,
babe.
man. You're definitely
You
the
got
girl.
longer hair, so I can pull it back more.
Yeah, but you act more like a pretty little bitch.
I just don't like the way that came out.
Sorry, man. Sorry, it's true though. It's true.
This different milk, man.
cold.